Thank you for the introduction. Thanks, Purdue, for the time. And I'm a pretty easygoing guy, so if there's a question during the session or not, raise your hand, send a chat. I think we can monitor that. If not, we'll get to questions right afterwards. But Prairie Systems, I'll do a little introduction, tell you a little bit about the company here. Again, I'm Joel Stave, but I have a strong team of 11 team members behind us. I won't read through all the names, but there's their faces, and on our website, they're there for you to look up and learn some more about. But today we have a core team of 11 team members in the US. We have a partnership with another team, and I'll share some about that later in the presentation. But kind of our timeline for everyone: 2006 we were founded. In 2012 we made a strategic partnership with United Animal Health, and in 2015 Prairie invested in Leo, which is a individual animal precision technology founded or based in the Netherlands. So as we go through our presentation, we'll see a little bit of each one of those. Our products basically have three core products. In 2006, we launched the feed allocation system. That product is basically a stage feeding system. It has a really narrow name, but a really wide scope. And we'll get into that a little bit, but basically the feed allocation system tracks everything about a production hog in a group basis. In 2019, we launched two new products. One being Smart Order, which is just a way for a feed manufacturer to receive digital feed orders from FAS and other systems. And also in 2019, we launched Leo into the US market. Leo was started in 2015 and before in the Netherlands. So we'll get into that a little bit, but first brought to the US in 2019 as a commercial product. What's the latest in tech? So thanks, Alan and committee for asking me to be here. And I want to kind of sum it up this way: mobile and more mobile is the one thing I want to make sure that by the end of tonight's presentation is the influence. As we started out in 2006, it was all admin and dashboard side. And today, primarily, we don't launch a customer in any one of our applications if it isn't mobile first. The resurgence of a QR code, it's amazing. The events that transpired over the last 2 years, it feels like now. But an otherwise kind of too small, once thought out of date, but really not, piece of tech is one of the things that's kind of booming out there. And I put a QR code up on the screen that should be interactive. If you want to scan it, it'll take you somewhere. And I've done that throughout the presentation. And then get ready for data overload. So with our ability of 5G, with those top two things, mobile and the readiness of a user to be able to scan something and be right to where you want them, the ability for us to collect data is really one of the newest things out there. IoT devices coming our way. There's just a really large volume of data we're going to be able to collect. And so it all concentrates on, your eyes in the barns, view your entire herd, monitor your animal flow anywhere at a glance. So really that mobile piece, the connectivity of them, and the ability to get where you want to be really quickly is really where I'm going to concentrate on what's the newest. There's lots of things out there that are leading edge or bleeding edge, but these are the ones that our customers today are really putting into their operations here in the last several months. And then I put a little cartoon up here. Get all the information you can. We'll think of a use for it later. That's really kind of summarizes our customer today as they're trying to collect as much data as they can. And we're helping them to do that. But they're going to need some help by parties other than Prairie Systems to really interpret what the data they're collecting and how to use it going forward, because it's going to be a lot. So optimizing data capture is the key to precision pork and big data. So if we want to talk about where the industry has been, where the industry still is, and where the industry needs to move away from is kind of our current way we do things. I just Googled for images. So if I happen to find one that's someone's, I apologize, but I just Googled. And basically, if you look at and you just lump our industry up into one fell swoop, we still have a lot of source documents on farms where we're handwriting on sow cards or handwriting on barn charts or doing handwriting. And then we're transcribing that into either summarized spreadsheets, or we've taken a basic step in using some capture tools like a keyboard input barcode scanner. Once we have that stuff done, we're uploading it or faxing it or emailing. There's still a lot of that going on that we see. And then it's being, again, transcribed and entered at a central point. And a large majority of our system is still using some basic logic in Excel and other things, and or a production record system. And I didn't put all those up there, but we're still, in the steps of capture, transcribing, uploading, entering, and then repeating that for any function we do. And that's really where I'm going to center tonight, is trying to get to a single point of data capture. So we want to do it one time, one spot. And where Prairie Systems has always kind of focused is at the animal or in the barn, right there by that key individual, putting it in once, and then being able to turn that data velocity into something we can just get really quick and then use. So how are we doing that? Our first installs all the way up until when a customer would come to us and want the feed allocation sheet, we highly concentrated on that core nutrition group within a production company. They had a feed desk operator or a mill person or someone that would still take that phone call, email, text, fax, or voicemail, and they print it and punch it in. Today with FAS Mobile, every install we do, we pretty much lead off the installs by training on the mobile side. So that would be all contracted partners, all people that are touching animals, dealing with animals every day. And you can scan that code as well on the screen, and it hopefully should come up and time you out intentionally as a security invite. But that's another thing where I say the QR code has come back, because with rapid deployment of FAS Mobile today, we can go into a production company, a production supervisor can simply invite everyone at the farm when he's visiting to be part of FAS Mobile and complete their user registration. And so we're up and rolling. So no more trying to load users, figure out mistyped email addresses. It's all happening at that point of contact, person to person. And then FAS Mobile allows you to basically do everything and see everything. So today, don't forget your phone. So in my day of driving around, when we had 60,000 sows and looking over grow finish buildings, you had your 3-ring binder. Today, you have your phone and everything on that phone from the screenshots I have here. So you can look up feed deliveries, withdrawal periods, placed weight of animals, last illnesses, estimated feed on site, estimated marketing dates. All those things are now a product of FAS in the hands of a mobile user. Order validation. So in the past, again, that phone, that email, that text, that fax came in, and then there was a desk of carnal knowledge. So we all talk about labor as a key issue in the industry today. And when I started, running the feed desk was definitely a carnal knowledge thing of when were pigs going to town, when should we pulse this drug, what time that mill accepts orders. All of that was carnal knowledge at that desk, or the grower or the mill operator. And today, by submitting an order into FAS Mobile, the user can put orders in, treatments in, all kinds of information in. And we're really new in the last 2 years, really focused new in 2021, was when that order hits the feed desk today, we kind of like to say it's and we probably get in trouble for it, but the Amazon of ordering is FAS really puts an order in the context of the group. And I'm showing you here kind of a warning. Hey, you're trying to order for a closed group of pigs. Hey, we think you have a massive inventory discrepancy and you didn't order within 2 days. So we're trying to do a lot of vetting of orders. And then on the lower right-hand side of the screen here, trying to show users at the feed desk, hey, when was feed last taken there? What bins was it put in? All of that information to try and make that feed desk or order intake a continuous place so a new user can sit down and not have to have a big leap of knowledge gain to sit in that position and move feed throughout an organization. FAS admin. So before in FAS, if you want to track VFDs, HIMSS cases, or validate your feed invoices to know you got what you ordered, that was all, you know, a function of an accounting, a function of the veterinary group. It was kind of disjointed. It all came together at one point, but it was kind of disjointed. So today, you know, you can view all that production data in one source of truth, and that's in the context of a group in FAS. So I can request a VFD. FAS will send that request to a veterinarian. They can attach that VFD and send it back. And each and every feed order that goes out to that mill, FAS knows a VFD is required. It requires it to send the order. So no longer are we faxing a VFD to a mill, sending feed orders in and trying to get those two coordinated. HIMSS cases is really new. We've just completed automation to download all tissue samples and cases into FAS. So now if a group's performance or feed performance is dropping or health is dropping, right in the context of that group, you can look at their HIMSS case and diagnose whatever. So your professional that's working for you can diagnose what they need to do and then take the appropriate actions. And then good mix validation, that's been with us since the inception, but it's fairly new. When you ask what's new in tech, and tech is, you'll see in the next screens, that rapid deployment or that rapid sending back of feed invoices is getting faster and faster and faster in the industry. And probably about 80% of our customers have their feed invoices from yesterday uploaded into FAS and all validated to make sure that there wasn't drugs in the invoice, the pricing is right, and the volume that matches the formula was right. So what's that do? You know, advanced tools for managing feed budgets. So really, FAS has really got a lot more use in the last year, and our customers are really concentrating on it. Estimated marketing was just in time before FAS. So maybe the Friday before the Monday, the packers picked, the truck is scheduled, the groups are identified that need to sell. It's just in time. And now when you put a group in FAS, the moment you put it in, we estimate a marketing date, and that date is dynamically and continuously adjusted based on feed consumption. And a little further in my presentation, we added the final piece in that just went out this January to validate that final delivery. And so with the inception of IoT devices like Bin Sentry and mobile on iPhone and Android, we've now got rapid order entry, rapid order confirmation, and now we can get real back to rapid bin inventories if needed, and estimated marketing date. So group of pigs goes on feed, everyone in the supply chain understands what that target date to open that group and start marketing it is. And we're seeing a lot increased use this year. This one's an interesting one, Group Guard. This has actually been in FAS for a long time. But what's new in tech is there's a lot of buzzwords about sustainability and carbon footprint and you know, animal movement and foreign animal disease tracking and traceability. If you would scan this code from your phone, you're going to see it pop up, and you'll be given a red screen that tells you this group of pigs is under withdrawal. And then you'd be able to see from there a bunch of farm information. So every movement in, every movement out, every injection given, every feed order delivered, and then information about every vendor, feed mill vendor that participated in that. So it's really new because it's relevant now to where the industry is trying to figure out, hey, how do we know in a pinch everything that went on in that site, and how do we get it out there quickly to that group of leadership people and industry partners that are going to help us group guards that answer today. So that's available in FAS and released as the admin would. My feed watch. One of the things I did miss, and I just remembered to talk about it, and there's a QR code here as well, but you no longer on an iPhone or an Android need to download an app. You certainly can to read a QR code or barcode. It's all embedded in the camera now. And don't quote me, but that's been probably a year and a half to two that was a technical advancement in the phone. And so the beauty of that is, who'd have thought from the days of me with the Kodak camera, or that pictures would have been, cameras would have been owned by iPhone and the Android platform. Everyone takes pictures. Well, it's an easy thing to train anyone. They can jump in their camera, point that at a QR code, and bam. And so this year in January, we launched My Feed Watch. And basically what it does is it allows a registration by any driver, and it requires a QR code on the bin, and they can scan that QR code. They're provided the feed orders within that geofence, and they can confirm delivery of those orders and or split that order between two bins. They can do everything, but they can do it just from that personal cell phone or company tablet or whatever it is that they're carrying around. So no need to buy a fancy barcode scanner, a hardened device. You can really do it with a commercially available, retail cell phone. And that information all feeds back into FAS and really heightens, if we step back a little, it really heightens this piece. So if we talk about our performance analytics here, the black bar is all the deliveries, the total feed delivered to the farm. The green dots is the frequency of delivery and the load size on the right side of the chart here. So green dot should be, further apart at the left, and as the animal gets bigger, they should be piling up going to the right. And when you look at this, two green dots right on top of each other is feed delivered on back-to-back days. And as we're trying to gain efficiency in the supply chain, having a feed truck out to a farm 2 days in a row would be an opportunity we'd like to plan a little better from our feed mill partner side. So with that confirmed delivery, we're able now to add a little bit more. Did you deliver that feed at prior to midnight on the 3rd, or did you deliver it on the 4th? A little bit more tweaking to that to get that model even more real time and take advantage of that quote, pandemic, whatever, rejuvenation of the QR code. So that's kind of FAS. As we brought FAS up since 2006 into 2019, we started getting a lot of raised hands by the mill world and feed manufacturers. And they were like, can you help me with 3 basic things? I need to be able to get a digital order, and I need to be able to handle that order within my mill to make me efficient and more efficient, I should say. So before, again, phone, voicemail, fax, email, and in the Iowa world that I live in, the walk-in order. So the person that just walks into the mill and orders feed today. Now there's a digital solution for the customer to receive real-time orders. So if you're a mill out there and you're feeding primarily hogs, and your FAS customers are sending you digital orders, it's pretty easy. But it's when you have that other little animal group, or maybe dog food, or you're kind of a combined store and you have other things. Now you're looking at multiple websites to try and find your integrator order or your FAS orders, and then you're trying to do a retail counter as well. And so what Smart Order allowed was, number one, if you look at the left side of the screen here, anyone involved with the mill can see any customer's order happening. So that feed manager that wants to go home tonight can sit and watch every order going through the mixer in this dynamic panel, updated by the feed desk people. And then the feed desk people, when they're submitted an order, again, kind of like your Amazon recents or favorites, the customer submits an order for a truckload of feed, and then 20 minutes later submits another order for a bag of creep feed to come on the truck. Now the order desk, instead of printing those two orders and stapling it together, they can link those orders together. So any time one of those orders is looked at, we can execute that as an industry. And then obviously notes and turnover between shifts, all that stuff is digitally tracked in Smart Order. And so that's a really new piece of tech. And then probably the biggest part is tagging orders. So if you think of tagging someone in a photo on Facebook, you can make all kinds of tags of orders and auto tags like non-antibiotic flow, only deliver in the morning, all kinds of contextual data around that order. And then as you see this colored ribbon, any status you want. So release to mill, in mixing room, in drug room, delivered, canceled. And it allows you as a mill just to give an Android device or a phone to a driver that they can not only do My Feed Watch with or check company mail, they can also perform Smart Order functions as they're out in their truck, and a digital delivery ticket coming soon. From my career, one of the biggest things, because I was heavily on the nutrition side, developing the feed desk software, was I want to send a new order over to a mill or a partner today. I've been advised by my nutrition consultant or resource to change some ingredient. Smart Order instantaneously on the fly prompts that order desk to say, hey, this ingredient was changed. Do you want to take the new formula and store it, or you want to keep the old? And then it allows the mill to do on the fly translations as well. So if they're importing from Brill or Concept 5 or any formulation platform out there, no need anymore to tell the integrator what your ingredient IDs are. Your customer can send an order to you any way they want to send it. And as long as there's some translation going on at the mill, that translation can all be fixed. Just like if you compare it to importing a contact in Outlook, if you had Joel Stave in your contacts and I send you a new one, you can choose just to take the updated portions of the new contact and move on. Kind of same philosophy. So before, we had to look up everyone and compare them, whether we looked in Excel or whatever. Now each and every order, if you've got these two meshing, which is the newest tech, I can change a ration in FAS today. The next order that goes out has the new ration. My mill can click on two buttons and save it and be making that into their system. So no more sending around formulations. The other thing Smart Order did is it really let that magic of the mill happen. So it produces order volume charts in a configurable dashboard where a user can build any widget they want. So they can take their 3 biggest customers and chart all their volume. They can find out what the #1 product is ordered by their customers, and they can put these in dashboards around the mill. So the whiteboards, how much feed is in overhead 1, overhead 2, how much feed is out on the road being delivered, how much feed is pending. All those dashboards can be created dynamically for their use today. And the newest thing in tech, it's amazing. Again, the labor shortage, it's amazing that the driver now coming back to the mill down the road can say, hey, you know, my order is not even made yet. I'm going to stop and get diesel fuel right now and time that to the mill rather than come and sit and then get it after I'm loaded. So lots of communication here. We quite frankly got lucky. We put this out, and the mills and the vendors that we've worked with have really exploded this thing into quite the resource for the mill. But it engages everybody in your volume goals. And when you have a really bad Monday, you know, I don't know what the 3rd and 5th of 2020 was, but you have a really bad Monday, you know, your people out in the mill can be looking up and trying to shove orders over to another day where volume's low. So it really engages the mill and that supply chain. So is it real? Can we really have a digital supply chain? Can we really get all parties in the vertical talking together and using data? I think it is. Kind of the next biggest one. So we talked about FAS, that's just stage feeding, and FAS requires a number of animals and a weight. And we talked about smart order, and that's the mill side. So if you put those in 2 compartments, FAS is the producer side or the person managing the hog and the hog groups. Smart order is that nutrition company or toll mill or company mill that's trying to organize the orders they're getting. And Leo is a precision technology for individually identifying pigs with RFID. And the reason Prairie Systems kind of went on the quest and looked around and happened to run into an individual in the Netherlands called Peter Terlinde was the biggest thing we consult in those 11 team members that you saw on that first slide is how many pigs do you have, what's their weight, and how do we start them on feed? That's probably the number one thing that we try and deal with transcription. So who wrote the number down, who counted the truck, who did all that? That's the number one thing we work with before executing precision nutrition. That's the number one business we're in. And so I'm going to show a little video. I hope the sound works here. I don't want to blast you out over there. So really, Leo, you know, I'm going to replay the video and talk a little bit through it. I like to play it first so you kind of get the gist of it. But really what we did with Leo is we're looking for that single point of data capture. We want the records to start out clean, and we know we have a labor issue where we have to get more precise on the farm. And so really what we did was we brought Leo to the US in 2015 and strategically placed it in a research farm where we started scaling it and understanding the objectives of a sow operation. In late 2018, we put it in a commercial sow farm to yet again scale it. And today we dabble in quite a few genetic nucleus grandparent herds. And so really what Leo does is the piglets are put in this box or segregated. You'll see the scale and the reader. This is Ruth. This is a Dutch farmer. But really all she needs to do is tag the animal. And you see the app sitting here in the reader. and the scale. And what we've created is an ecosystem all around a tag. And an RFID tag today is the means to the end. So will technology do something else? Sure, it will. You can also use the RFID tag on a pen. So you've loaded the sow in the pen, you've scanned the sow into the pen. The pen is now intelligent enough to know that, hey, I have this mother in my pen. I scan that tag and I start the birth registration process. And so we wanted the user hands-free just to concentrate on tagging that animal, putting that animal in the scale. And so if you caught right there, when Ruth loads a tag, she passes it in her process, which every farm's process has been different. Passes the scanner, tags the piglet, sets the piglet in the scale. And as she's doing all that, the scale records the weight, attaches the mother, the insemination, the litter mate, the pen, the employee, the date, the time, the weight. All that metadata that we transcribe now today is all captured in that moment. So now any cross foster that occurs, any mortality that occurs, anything that occurs now in the concept of that pen and that sow is all digitally recorded. And as soon as they're done tagging the piglets and this screen pops up and they hit done or scan another sow, all that information is in the record system in the cloud. So as these employees are working through the day, it's no longer I go back and gather a card or transcribe data. I just simply plug my devices in, which is the biggest training curve today, to make sure they're charged for tomorrow, and I shower out and I go home. And my data is all loaded and ready to roll and ready to use in other downline systems like FAS or Smart Order or even other sow record management programs. It's available and ready. So now what basically we've created is I'm on the farm. I'm now wearing a wristband or a phone on my arm. I have a scanner in my hand, a little scanner in my hand. And now every time I'm visiting an animal, everything I do from castrations to injections to movement of pigs, all of it is maintained in a digital passport for each individual pig. So it really opens the door of how we manage on an animal by animal basis. It tells you summaries of how many animals are in a room, what's the split, how many girls, how many boys. It tells you what sows need to farrow today, what sows need to be inseminated today, what pigs need to be weaned today. So from a labor standpoint, knowing we're walking into one of our most challenging times in the next few years, Leo really helps guide that employee group on a device they're familiar with of how to attack that sow farm today, and then provides all the history. So Leo really got its start as a traceability tool. Europe started with traceability, then went to precision pork. The United States is starting with precision pork and going to traceability at some point, sometime. But today, Leo primarily is a function to help you chore a barn and keep track of all your pigs. So diving into data, one of the exciting things, I know data mine, Purdue's got data mine going. That's exciting to me because, again, Prairie Systems has always been, our focus has been data capture, efficient data capture, and then data display back to a user. And Leo is really opening some doors. And I intentionally put a sow card on here, still in Dutch, and basically a breeding report that Leo does. So we can really concentrate on all your parity structure in the barn, where those animals are coming through, and not by clicking on a button, you can drill down into those parities, know exactly what pens they're in. And then really the fun one for me in the international production has been this last line over here on the sow card. It's intentionally kind of masked there, but it's lifetime dropouts and total pounds of carcass per sow. So those have been fun metrics to start working with producers. and start to think about that differently. So you've tagged all these pigs. Now, every pig throughout its entire life, again, a QR code on this, but every pig we get to know, did they make it? And when they did make it, what was their productivity level all the way back to the mom and the sire? And so just that act of registering those pigs allows you to have that platform and that identity to really get out there and start making different decisions, from selection to culling to market availability to feeding. So really coming on, we're out there every day looking for partners to help consult. This is our areas that we're getting more intelligent as a company, but we're definitely good at collecting it. And back to that cartoon, we're collecting everything with hope that there's some use for something. So kind of a different strategy. But and then kind of my last slide before I wrap it up here, but this is the kind of stuff you can build in Leo within minutes. So I can go in and I can say, tell me all the wean weights. So this is a customer's chart. I say, give me all the wean weights of the last year, and then categorize those wean weights by birth weight. So the green is all the weights. That's the weaning weight distribution. And every one of the little lines, the 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and 4 to 5, are all the piglets that were born between the categories. And so you can see those 3 to 4 pound piglets, you know, almost mimic that green bar up there. And then you can start looking at all the other. So this is the dynamic dashboard that, you know, 10 minutes after you've weaned pigs on a farm now can be up on the board for all employees to see. And we can start fundamentally driving KPIs and determining new KPIs and where we want to go with production data. So that's Leo. So individual RFID available. So is it real? Yeah. The new tech is all mobile, all quick access by barcodes, QR codes, RFID chips, and a lot more data velocity because of IoT and data platforms that now can share data across them. So what's the new tech? The new tech is just the rapid adoption of those three things all coming together, more than they ever have. So 5G networks, everybody 2 or 3 devices, everybody with multiple access and entry points. It's all kind of coming together and streamlining, and it fits everything from the smallest operation to the largest. So it's really interesting, the scalability of it, and the availability of it with the modern mobile smartphone. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I think I ended up a little early, but I don't know if there'd be questions or concerns. Anything would be fair game.